Welcome to Creatively Exposed, a conversation for creatives, introverts, sapiosexuals, and all of the people entertained and who love us. I am Liz Flo, the podcast host, poet, writer, and overall Afro-Caribbean Latina creative. I know that is a mouthful, but welcome to the show. Welcome back to Creatively Exposed, and we are back. It is another Sunday, and it's been pouring all day. And I've been thinking that now, well, as things shape, that this will be the last episode of the season. Because, what is a season if I don't know when to stop, right? So, I think 20 is a good number. So, I might keep it up for the future seasons. So, in that just means I'll be off for the month of June and bring in some dope interviews that I have pending to release. So, gonna knock you in the head in July. Probably out the gate with a really dope interview. I have some really, really dope interviews that have yet to be released, but all in divine timing. So, I have been thinking a lot about a couple of different things, and I have acquired new networks, new groups, new friend people, and I think about the plight of creatives, and especially women creatives of color, and that's not to exclude anyone else, but it's just who I'm in commune with. But I think it applies to most people, black, brown, people of color. And that's, across the whole non-binary, binary, everybody. I think that there is a lot of social programming and conditioning, and I think it's heightened during the pandemic, where self-doubt and perfectionism is plaguing people. And I say that because, it also happens to me. But I've seen it where people apologize for existing. The wildlife here is really wild now, so you might hear a goose in the background. But I think that we're not programmed or conditioned to celebrate the things that we are capable of. And we apologize or feel less than or undervalue ourselves, which I am very guilty of, because of the things that I do not know. When in reality, I should probably be talking about the things that I do know. And those that I do not, ask the question, do the research, or just sit in the room when people are speaking and be like, oh, now I have something that I can study and learn more of. I say that in my case when it comes to writing, marketing. I really am somebody who just wings it, and then we're figuring it out along the way. Because if I sit and gather resources, first of all, I'm going to get overwhelmed with all of the information that I have gathered. I'm probably not going to look at it again. So I paralyze myself because it has to be just right. And just right lasts 3 years of not doing that thing. This week has been a really strange, energetic week. There was a new moon in Gemini on Friday, and for some reason I just kept hearing stuff. And y'all might think I'm crazy, whatever. I feel no kind of way about it. But I'm receiving all of these what the spiritual community calls it downloads, right? Because it upsets me when brilliant people, and this is probably a reflection of maybe how my ancestors and my the universe guides, what have you, feels when I doubt myself. But I feel very adamant about self-doubt when it comes to the community of color, when, let's be 100% honest, are the source. The original source where a lot of other communities have extracted from and made profit without giving back to said resource. And I've been thinking a lot about colonization, but that's not where we're going today. But how dare we, and I include myself, talk about all of the things that we lack when we have created, worked 3 times for, have sat in the most uncomfortable spaces, in the most unwelcome rooms, deny the greatness that we have within. How dare I? How dare you? It's like telling the universe, nah, not me, not us. And what does that create? It creates this cycle of comparison, which I know a friend of mine told me a while back, that comparison is the thief of joy. Feeling jealous of somebody, feeling anxious about things that have yet to happen. This is all because we believe there is not enough. And when I talk about there is not enough, I am talking about not feeling like we're enough in order to be abundant, in order to move up in whatever ladder, in order to be heard or seen the way we desire to. When honestly, I think that sometimes the jealousy or the comparison or the feeling of inadequacy is our soul saying, hey, you're denying me the opportunity to prove you wrong. Which I heard from the conference that I went to by Flourish Media, when those anxieties come up, because we all got them. Like, no one is above feeling worried, will I be liked, whatever. But when it controls our lives, then is the problem. How do we prove ourselves wrong? And when I say ourselves, I mean our critical selves. The self that says you can't do this. The self that society has nurtured to ensure that your greatness sits in a box in the back of a closet. So I posted this earlier in the week and it says, do you know how powerful? Do you know how powerful you are? And if you do not, you may want to revisit yourself. Not what people tell you, not what outside sources have defined you as, but you, yourself. And I have like this message that I had to voice note, and it says, God gives us these callings. And when I mean God, that's everybody's. Allah, Yahweh, all the homeboys, all the homies, whomever. God gives us these callings knowing that we are capable of it. Our human self, and this might get a little wavy, but just run with me. Our insecure, worrisome selves are the ones who tend to delay our calling. Despite how loud it rings, despite how insistent it is, no matter if it keeps us up and prevents us from thinking about anything else. It stays persistent because the universe is saying you are capable, even when it feels bigger than ourselves. God is saying you are ready and you are capable. Do you know how powerful you are? Power isn't in brute strength or having to prove something to someone else. It's in having boundaries, being soft, which I think of soft. It has a negative connotation to it, but it's being vulnerable, being open, being willing to receive. Ooh, that's such a hard one for me. Creating a boundary against negative thinking, against external stimuli on the reasons why we're not good enough. I think about how we're not allowed to identify with our divine feminine. And I think about not only women, but I think about men and those who don't identify as any gender, but we both have these energies. We have that go get it and make it happen, but we also have the abundant, fruitful, nurturing side, right? And not all of us are allowed, especially growing up, to partake in both of those energies. There are too many walls, because those are not boundaries, against embracing the parts of us that make us whole. But that is our higher self, our God body, our spiritual self, the soul that lives inside of us. It is the most natural part of our souls in existence. It's how we are when no one is watching, no one is there to tell us how to be or how to exist. Do you know how powerful you are? Regardless of how you identify, call it what you wish. God as entity, universe. What are you holding yourself back from? For what do you conserve all of this universal energy? How dare you disrespect your soul's desire to flourish? And it's been on my spirit for a long